Riley, not interested at all, but if you stick an O in front of it, then you've got yourself a deal. Matt O'Reilly is Celtic bound, it seems. The very latest, he is at Celtic Park right now at the time of recording, so we're expecting an announcement imminently. It may even happen while we're on this video right now. He's passed a medical. He will become Ange's 5th signing of the month. Celtic are getting O'Reilly for £1.5 million due to a release clause in his MK Dons contract, with add-ons also included in the deal. But who is he? Well, we're going to find out on today's video by speaking to Cai Jones, who knows all about Matt O'Reilly. In fact, you've probably come across Cai's Twitter thread if you happen to be on Twitter. How do you know so much about Matt O'Reilly?
So as I said, I've been working for the League of 72 channel, and in that, his name just keeps popping up. MK Dons is a team that play nice football, not too dissimilar to Celtic, different structurally, but a very pass-dominant, possession-heavy side. And those are the teams that always catch my eye because it's just nice to watch and it makes you feel warm inside when you're watching it.
It does indeed, mate. We've had a lot of that at Celtic Park this season. You seem to think that Celtic fans should be very excited about the prospect of Matt O'Reilly playing in Glasgow.
When I say he's a good player, I don't mean it off the cuff. He's a very, very solid player. He'll go forward. He's big lad. He's 6'2", but his tall stature doesn't mean he's inhibited in his technical ability. If you look abroad, look at Italy. Malinkovic Savage is a player I think is really similar to, in the way that his stature doesn't mean he's not technical. He's good with the ball at his feet. He does most of his best work going forward, playing 1 to 2 touch things. He sees things before the players. He's just got a real controlled game.
Good feet for a big man. Is that what you're kind of hinting at?
Yeah, and a great touch as well.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah, I mean, you've kind of answered my next question. What kind of player is he? Is he a player who can play in any of the kind of central midfield roles? Personally,
there's some things going about that he left Fulham because he didn't really want to be playing in the 6 role. And you can kind of see that in the way he's been playing for MK Dons. He's playing in a 2 with Ethan Robson, but he gets forward. He likes to drift to the right-hand side, get the ball there. He likes to do a lot of front foot pressing. He's got a few assists this season just by winning the ball high up the pitch and playing a simple pass. I'd say in the Celtic side, he'd fit on the right of a 3. He could easily fit on the left of a 3 as well. He's left-footed, so the right-hand side probably better because it opens up the pitch for him and he can get inside on the edge of the D, where he gets a lot of his goals by either stood on the edge of the D, moving into the box, or waiting outside of the edge of the D, waiting for the ball to drop to him.
Right, so quite good positionally, quite good at anticipating where the ball's going to drop as well.
Yeah, and he's excellent in tight spaces. He's only scored 1 right-footed goal this season, but it was a lovely goal. He got the ball in the box, rolled it onto his right, bamboozled the defender, and just passed it home. All of his finishes this season has been controlled. Really, just they look like they go in slow motion, but they're just so well placed and so composed that it just leaves a goalie stood there without a chance.
Well, that's what we want to see. I wanted to chat again, something you'd mentioned already in this video, the fact that MK Dons play really good football. I think I'm right in saying they like to pass the ball about. They like to pass the ball about probably more so than most teams in English League One. So in theory, if he's coming from MK Dons to Celtic, and obviously we like to pass the ball about under Ange, he should fit in really nicely into that Celtic team. There shouldn't be too much adjustment needed.
No, I think as well, because MK Dons were the first team to make over 10,000 passes this season, and the next team is on something like 8,000 at Christmas, and that's a massive gap. To be fair, thinking there's 24 teams in the league. It was something that Russ Martin started, then he took it to Swansea. They play in a similar way. As you see, Matt O'Reilly was linked to them, obviously playing under Russ Martin, probably something that appealed to him. But then again, when Celtic come in, it's a no-brainer, probably, because you go to playing to a European side, playing in a side that play a similar style he's used to anyway. And different structurally maybe with MK Dons playing a 3 and then a 2 in the middle. However, with O'Reilly proving he can play in a 2, it just gives you tactical flexibility going forward for Celtic. If you get some injuries, I know there's a lot of depth in the midfield in Celtic, so it's not a massive issue. But if it comes to it, a 2 isn't a bad idea if you've got Matt O'Reilly.
That's interesting. You're right, we do have a lot of depth, but also we've got a lot of players potentially missing big games in the coming weeks and months. We have David Turnbull, who I would say is probably, without having seen too much of O'Reilly, is probably the closest thing we have to O'Reilly in the team. He's injured at the moment. He's going to miss, at least another month, probably longer. Then we've got the issue of Asian World Cup qualifiers and the likes of Tom Rogic, certainly, and possibly Rio Hatate going away to play with their countries as well. So we may well need O'Reilly to come in and hit the ground running. Do you think he's the kind of guy that could play on Wednesday night at Tynecastle, start the game and be a big player for us?
I think the way he left Fulham, it shows a lot of how he is as a person, because he's playing for Fulham, a good side, a guaranteed Championship style team. And he's good enough to play for them. Like, he knows he's good enough, but I don't think anyone else thought he was. When he's gone to MK Dons, he's proved it. And he's gone to MK Dons just because he wants to play. And if he wouldn't have gone to Celtic without knowing he's going to play, and he's the type of player who'll believe, I'm better than all of you here. I will show you how good I am. And he's only 21. He's not 22 until November, which I think is a good point. Like, you got these big coaches that played like possession heavy team like Pep. He likes to go for like the 20 to 25-year-old players because they're malleable. They can be coached, and it makes him worth a lot more. But when you can get a 21-year-old in for 1.5 million who's good enough to play now, it gives you a great platform to succeed going forward, not only now, but over the next 3 or 4 seasons.
Just on that fee that you mentioned, is that Celtic are clearly getting him for less than he's worth, in all honesty?
Yeah, that fee, the MK Dons must be kicking themselves, but the way they're set up now is they're going to let these players go, hopefully get new ones in, but 1.5 mil for one of their best players, it's shambles from their side. And then Celtic, similar to Maeda as well. Dan Olowitz, who's a journalist who specialises in the J League, was saying Maeda was a steal. And Celtic is getting steals all over the place. They've got about 30 million quid worth of players for like 10 million.
Yeah, I mean, Kyogo, who we paid $4.5 million for, seems, an absolute steal. Even a conservative, valuation of him now would have him at least £15 million. Joe Hart we got for £1 million looks an absolute steal at the moment. So it's certainly been a theme for Celtic. Can we go back to O'Reilly's time at Fulham and why he left them in 2020? He'd come through since 2009. He'd been through their youth academy. And as you say, he turned down a new contract and left them in 2020, just at the start of the pandemic. There was actually a really interesting Athletic interview with O'Reilly, and basically it kind of paints a picture of how much of a risk he took to leave Fulham. He was 19 at the time. He went 6 months without a club during the start of the pandemic, a real uncertain time, before eventually being training and then being picked up by Russell Martin at MK Dons. What does it say about O'Reilly that he took the risk to leave Fulham and to get game time and forge a career for himself, when it would have been, let's be honest, really easy just to sit on the bench at Fulham and wait for his opportunity?
So he's clearly very brave. Like, he's from West London. He's born in Hounslow. It's not very far to go to Fulham. He's probably one of his closer clubs, apart from QPR and Brentford. So he's not ventured so far in his career. Then he gets to Fulham, and then it says a lot about him. At 19, he's just gone, nah, this isn't for me. I trust myself. I believe in myself. I'll go to MK Dons, which isn't miles away, but it is far enough to have to move away from home, you'd think. And then to go there, succeed after not having a club for so long at 20. Because I was looking at his profile where he's been, and there's just a gap there, and you're thinking, what's he done there? And he's just been unlucky. But then he's just shown that he waits for this opportunity, and when he gives when you give him the opportunity, he just takes it with both hands.
Because he didn't even have any loan spells away from Fulham, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it reeks of, like, Phil Foden with Man City when they haven't let him go because they trust him, and then obviously he didn't trust Fulham to develop himself because there was rumours that they wanted him to play in front of the back four because of his physicality. And then he's clearly doesn't see himself like that kind of player. Maybe he will do in 10 years' time, but now he likes the goals, he likes the assists, he likes a high pressure attacking game, and then it's just perfect for Celtic.
He spoke about it not being about the money. He basically said, people will know I'm taking a pay cut to leave Fulham to go to MK Dons, but his reasoning was that the money will come later if he advances his career, and I dare say he will be on decent money at Celtic, certainly similar to what he would have been on at Fulham, if not more. So he seems like a really switched on and motivated guy. And our manager, Ange Postecoglou, every signing he makes, he actually rarely chats about what the player will bring, on the pitch. It's more about players wanting to come to Celtic and be motivated to advance their careers at Celtic. And it seems like with Matt O'Reilly that he's got a really motivated, switched on, intelligent guy who knows what's best for his own career.
I think that's true. He's getting a lot of characters in. Rooney's been saying with Derby, he wants characters. He doesn't care about how they are on the pitch. He wants characters, and then he'll work from there. And then I think it shows that a lot. It says a lot about Ange in how we can handle these characters. A lot of managers, if someone speaks up, you're gone. But Ange, he clearly likes to have some metal in the changing rooms. As we saw with O'Reilly leaving Fulham, he left because he likes to play. He wants to play. He's got ambitions to play at the top. Playing with Celtic, he believes is going to get him there. You've got others that the Japanese boys that have come in. They're on the peripheries of the Japan squad. They're going to hopefully, they think, and they probably know that playing for Celtic is going to get them into the Japan squad just in time for Qatar in 2022. So then you've got Maeda, that he was the best striker in the J-League last season. And he's got the head for it. He's got the mentality. And I know Riley's coming in as well he's a different perspective. Probably hadn't played in England, not Japan, obviously. But then he's coming in with the same mentality, and he wants to get to the same places as everyone else in the team. And then you'll see that Ange's going to build a squad of winners and a squad of people, but winning first. Don't matter about anything, only winning. And then I think you need that when it's such tight races as it is at the minute. Might not be in the future, but at the minute it's back and forth, isn't it?
It is indeed. Have you heard of a player called Riley McGree at all? He's just signed for Middlesbrough. We were linked with him. Have you seen any of them? And can you tell me and all of our wonderful listeners and viewers that Matt O'Reilly is far superior? Go on, do it now.
Okay. What's funny is, you'll think I'm saying this to Panda, but it's actually true.
Yes.
I hear a lot more about Matt O'Reilly, and there's a lot more hype about him.
Yeah.
Obviously, playing in the Championship, playing in Celtic, I think Celtic is is a lot higher up the list for me on things which I would like to do. Then I think maybe Middlesbrough just stumped up the cash because they've been going all out, getting loans and getting everything in just to give that push for the Premiership. But the thing is, they've got 3 strikers in on loan, so it's not sustainable. So if I'm a player, I'm looking at the project, and Celtic are signing permanent signings or obligation to buy signings, which would fill me with confidence knowing that the manager isn't going anywhere. Nobody's going to pinch out our best players.
Well, you can come back anytime, Cai. You're more than welcome because you've done what we all wanted. Matt O'Reilly's better. A couple of wee things to tie up. Some interesting comments actually from Russell Martin when he was manager at MK Dons. I think back in May of last year, he actually tipped Matt O'Reilly to be a manager one day. Have a listen to this.
I would say Matt O'Reilly. Very intelligent, very driven, very ambitious, really believes in himself, but really modest, really humble. I would say, he'd make a pretty, in 20 years' time or whatever, he'd make a pretty good manager.
Big thanks to the MK1 podcast for allowing us to use that audio. Great podcast. I'll link that below. Obviously at MK Dons they cover. But it sounds like Russell Martin, really highly thinks very highly of Matt O'Reilly. Very intelligent, very driven, very ambitious, but really modest and really humble. Just all the things you've been saying, Cai. Another thing, O'Reilly has played for England at 16s and 18s level, but he can also represent Denmark through his mother and Norway through his grandfather. He says he feels more Danish than Norwegian, and he also speaks Danish as well. So do you think we're looking at a future Denmark international here?
So, as you know, well, if you can't tell, I'm Welsh, so I love it when the English players change their nationality. I love it. I'm all for it. We see it a lot with our team. English-born players just completely denounce their English and then come to play for us. So I think Denmark have got a good player. If they can get him, they should try and get him. If he said he feels Danish, he speaks Danish. He'll lend himself to the idea of being Danish. Playing with the likes of Eriksen and Højbjerg and all of them, it's only going to make him better. And having a Danish international for Celtic would only be even better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. We've had a few of them over the years. What are Celtic fans going to see the first time they watch Matt O'Reilly on the pitch? What's the first thing that will jump out to fans when they're watching him?
So I think it's to do with how he'll play in a three. So because he's a big lad, I think people think, oh, he's a destroyer. He's far from it. You've got Hatate, who likes to take a few touches, likes to turn. He's like Modric style, isn't he? But then you'll see with O'Reilly, what he doesn't do is what is. So he only takes 1 or 2 touches, but he only needs 1 or 2 touches. A lot of his assists have come from him having taken the touch and just playing a threaded passing behind for pacey strikers in MK Dons. And Celtic are perfectly built to do that with Maeda. He's rapid. So, and because he's so technical, it's just if teams just sit, Celtic fans will notice how good he is just at unlocking a defence or doing it himself by having a shot. So I think what they'll realise is just how complete he is, but also how he doesn't need many touches to influence a game.
Can he shoot from distance?
So he scored 1 from outside the box, and it was a really nice drilled finish. Goalie just stood and watched it in. Didn't take a lot of shots from outside the box because of how MK Dons play. They like to pass it about, but he's got the ability, I'd say, just to smash it home if he was given the license to.
And a really good passer, a guy that can control games.
I was saying that he doesn't need a lot of touches, but he's been averaging 78 touches a game, which is quite high. But he doesn't take a lot of touches in the same instance, so he'll take 1 or 2, pass it on, get 1 or 2, move further up the pitch, work in those half spaces between the winger and the striker. You'll see a lot with Man City. De Bruyne does it. He'll get the ball on the edge of the box, looks inside. It's different with Matt O'Reilly because he's left-footed. He'll try and come inside on his left. You'll see him a lot in the box.
And just your final thoughts, Cai. Sum up how you think Matt O'Reilly's going to get on in Glasgow and in Scotland.
So I think he's got the platform there to succeed. He's got the platform to come in straight away because he's been playing consistent football. He's fit as fiddle. He can come in, and then over the summer now they've got the squad that realistically it's probably good enough to push for European qualification. And if Matt O'Reilly does that, I think he'll get a taste for it, and then he'll just want to keep doing it, and then the squad will get a taste for it. They're all winners. They want to succeed. Probably win the league, in my opinion.
Oh, see, you're more than welcome back, mate, when you drop in stuff like that. I'm just right now checking my Twitter to see if it's been announced. It hasn't. We're currently just after 3 o'clock, and it's not been announced. So hopefully when you're watching this, you're in a world where Matt O'Reilly is an official Celtic player, and you'll know how long his contract's going to be. And maybe we'll see him this weekend in the cup tie against Alloa. He certainly sounds like a player who can make an immediate impact. Cai, it's been great to chat. I think you're our first Welsh contributor on the channel, so well done in that. And thanks very much, mate.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.